In this video, we're going to do a quick review of the basic materials subsector. Before I jump into all the data on the particular sector, let's flip over to another page and take a look at why I chose this sector to look at this morning. When we look at the ranking of our equal weight sectors on a 3-month basis, materials is not really way up there by any stretch. It's a 45, so it's below. But as we go down here into the subsector rankings, if you'll notice, I've already ranked them by the RS Movers tab. And when I rank them by that tab, we see that the materials, basic materials subsector comes in here at number 5 as far as the RS Movers and moved up 22 points over the last 5 days, putting its ranking at a 59. So I want to take a quick look at this subsector, run through some of its data, and see what we can find. If we start out here with the actual basic materials RSI chart, you can see at the top the RS is all moving in the right direction, so it's starting to move up for us. The blue line is your 3-month, so it's the shorter term, and then the red line is your 6-month, already moving up in the 80 range, and then the 12-month is also with the black line starting to work its way higher. But more than anything, I look down here at the chart and notice that we're moving above the MA bands here. We're breaking a downtrend line off the correction that started roughly 3 months ago. And we're also seeing our RSI move into a new RSI bull range by clearing this 60 level right here. At the same time, you'll see that the CFG below is also working back towards that 100 level. Now, a lot of people look at the 100 level as overbought. Again, it can go higher than that, and it's like with RSI, some of your biggest moves come once you've started to move above what other people consider overbought. As we move down to the breadth window for the subsector, we can see that we had some new highs perk up. Only 3, but there are only 40 holdings in here. Okay, so we still watch this on somewhat of a relative basis. The advanced decline line is working its way higher, and the percent above the 200-day moving average is back above 80. The 50-day moving average is at 68%, and the 20-day moving average is at 88%, showing some thrust here. Moving down to the McClellan Summation Index, we made the turn a couple weeks ago, and then now we're crossing the 0 line, often a good buy signal for the start of a new potential trend. You can also see with the McClellan Oscillator, came back, tested the flat line, and now moving higher, as well as the breadth thrust. Now as we move on down to our relative comparative charts, we can see in this particular chart on the left that as price has moved up in its strong move, it didn't really show a tremendous amount of relative strength against the universe or against other materials, but against the S&P 500 it was a great move, and then on that pullback it lost a lot of that relative strength. Well, you can see now that we're starting to make the turn across every one of the measures that we use here. By making this turn and also helping confirm the breakout that we're seeing, it adds confidence to what we're looking at here. Now we also on the right have a percentage making new highs and new lows chart. And this chart right here basically shows us that this really did bottom out and show some good bottoming action as far as making new lows back on July 19th. Where it gapped down and it looked like it was going to break down, but turned out to be a false breakdown or a failed breakdown, and now we're climbing higher and clearing some resistance. As you can see, the new lows disappeared quickly, and we got back up here well above the 20% on new highs that we look for to initiate a new move. That happened right about here on July 27th, 28th area. So it has been improving and working its way back for the last couple of weeks, and now it's really starting to show some performance for us. So the last thing we want to do is go down here to the relative strength rankings. Again, with only 40 holdings in this sector, it gives us a quick view. Now what we can do here is we can take a look at what each one of these are kind of where they're ranking. TGLS or Technoglass is up here at the 100 ranking. And then you see as we move on down, we have some other names we know like USCR, which I believe might be in a merger. So that one we might, CLW, VRS, some of these others that are here. Now we can certainly look at these from a high to low relative strength ranking system here. as we go down through and review the 40 different holdings that are on this particular subsector. But as many of you know, I like to do the sorting by the RS movers to see what's really moving and what's moved the most RS points over the last 5 days. And again, this is a 3-month relative strength ranking, so let's keep that in mind, that these should be getting shorter term terms. So as we look over here, you can see there are some names we know and that we can go through and explore. There are links here, or I'm going to move over to my trading view page where I have these all set out in their own sector as well. And we'll show you some of the symbols that I pulled out last night taking a look at. First, on my particular list, start with Summit Materials. As you can see, it's had a strong day yesterday in a tepid market. Looks like its RSI is trying to break 60 and move up into a new RSI bull range. Not quite there yet, or right at it actually. And on the weekly, we have a strong trend up here on the RSI, and as you can see that it turned up right below 60 here and formed a new positive reversal here on a longer term basis. So see if this can continue to work its way higher on the weekly basis and or potentially give us a breakout. WestRock has been in a larger pullback on the daily. It was in a RSI bear trend for a while. The 9 SMA on RSI is moving back above 40, and RSI is leading price here. As you can see it moving higher. Now on the weekly, the thing that caught my eye here is the weekly has, number one, a very large RSI positive reversal here. And it's at a time where the weekly RSI pulled back right to the 40 range, which is its bull range. So it gives us a pretty tight spot here versus these lows, even though it did break out of this little box on Friday. So depending on your time frame, how much risk you want to put in it, this has some potential here to climb back up the right side of this base. Louisiana Pacific, similar look. It looks like it's breaking this downtrend here. RSI has not moved into a bull range, so we want to be cautious of this, but this is another one where the weekly RSI is what caught our eye the most. It's pulling back into a good place for it to reverse if the bull range is going to continue here on the weekly chart. RDAG, I believe, ARD. This one's moved a little bit more already, so you might want to let it settle in a little bit above 25 if it will. But it may not stop. Again, this one's blown through into a new RSI bull range. And on the weekly, it looks like we held the bull range well on the pullback and is now working its way back over 60 as well. Clearwater Paper, larger base here at the bottom, starting to move its way out into this gap. So we could run into trouble here around 33. But like the same thing here, we're going into a fresh daily bull range. Now what you want to be concerned about here is the weekly is currently in a bear range, okay? So if this gets up here and it loses steam, it fails at this gap or something like this, you don't want to stay with this one too long and give it too many chances, since this weekly is still in a bear range. CRH, it's another one that's moving into a new bull range on the daily. The weekly held the bull range and had what I like to call a mushy trend as it continues to move up and to the right, and RSI just continues to move sideways on the weekly. This new daily move could be the start of its next leg. International Paper, a little bigger pullback, hasn't quite broken its downtrend yet, so this is a good one to watch, but it's also still in a bear range on the daily. But on the weekly here, you see we've got a big positive reversal forming if this weak candle can hold up. And it's at a pretty good spot considering the RSI here never closed below 50 on the weekly before reversing back higher. So this little box here looks pretty good. We got a dividend coming, so be conscious of that. But if it can break through this, we could continue to move up the right side here as well. GEF, again, Grief I guess it is, looks a little bit better to where it may have already broken this downtrend line that we're working with here. It's come up, it's consolidated above the moving averages, moving into the new RSI bull range while the weekly never lost 50 on the pullback. Now if we look at this weekly chart, this is some larger area here that we might be working to break out of above 65 if it can get up there. Avery, Also has had a really strong weekly run, pulled back for almost 3 months, and is now 2.5 months, and is now reversing back higher and back towards those highs. The daily just moved into a new RSI bull range, and the weekly looked like it has a good RSI positive reversal going. PKG, again, pulled back a little bit harder, had a little tougher time, but did just forge a new RSI bull range after working higher off the earnings. On the weekly, never broke its RSI bull range during that pullback, and now looks like if it can get over this area around 145-ish, that it could continue to move upwards for us. GLT, or Glatfelter Corporation, again, another one that's in a fresh RSI bull range on the daily. The weekly's not quite there yet, but it toyed with this 40 and never went a lot lower. So I would kind of give this one the benefit of the doubt if it can continue and break over this weekly trend line there. It's extended a little bit here, so I'd watch this area, see if it can build a little more above the 1550 area, maybe even above the 15 area. Graphic Package Holding has a weekly RSI that's looked good but been very choppy. Daily has now moved back up into a bull range, and as you can see, it pulled back from there and is now back at these highs, testing for a potential breakout. Small cup and handle here that you could look at, but with this in a new RSI bull range, it's something we want to keep an eye on. And then finally we have Berry. Berry is a strong weekly bull range still after that big run from last year, but it's held up very well on the weekly level above 50 on the RSI, when the CFG never made it back to zero. And now we're starting to see, after earnings especially, it tried to break down, had a failed breakdown, is now trying to move over this downtrend line. This is one that might gain some steam as well if it can get over this probably 65 area, probably 66 area, clear yesterday's high, and hold it for 30 minutes to an hour. So hopefully that gives you a little bit of an idea of what we're looking at here. This is a sector or subsector that I think has some good potential here based on this RSI chart and some of the other things I'm seeing, as well as some of the securities inside are looking pretty strong as well. Some of them have already started to make their move, but these moves look like they could be early enough that you still have some time to take the meat out of it before we run into any bigger troubles, if materials can continue to move higher out of this pattern. All right, hope that's helped, and I hope everybody has a great day out there today. Good luck.